Climber. How does an award-winning, multiple #1 singer-songwriter go about putting together a new album? We're talking about that today with hit CCM artist Brandon Heath. And understanding how he puts a record together might just help you land some of your songs on some records. So listen up. Johnny, do that thing.
Welcome to the C.L.I.M.B. This is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you create leverage in the music business. Because this is the new music business where you've got to have a track record, proof that your art has value in society, that other people like it. Once you're able to do that, you get leverage. And then everybody comes out of the woodwork because they want to hang and they want to do projects with you. That's a background of good friend and co-host. The climb is, I should say, C.L.I.M.B, creating leverage in the music business. That's a background from Brent Baxter, who's an award-winning hit songwriter with cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady A, Joe Nichols, and more. He's got #1s in Southern Gospel, top 10s on Texas radio, Australian radio. Like, he's everywhere. And like savoir-faire is everywhere. And but what you care about is that he helps you become a professional songwriter by revealing how you write like a pro, do business like a pro, and then ultimately creating relationships between you and the pros that can help you advance your career. You can find Brent very easily at songwritingpro.com.
And I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. They're breaking artists digitally by identifying new fans through data. If you're an artist looking to increase your streams, blow up your video views, sell more live show tickets, and get discovered by new fans, TV, music industry pros, then Daredevil Production can help. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That is production, singular, no S, and there is no S because there is no other. Say it with me, Johnny D. What's up, brother?
What's happening?
Man, super excited about today's episode.
Great interview with him.
Yes,
I like that
so
guy.
he's a good dude, man. Heck of a singer-songwriter, just killing it, and been a fan of his music for a while, and so it was fun to sit down with him.
For the pod, man. Big get.
Yes, so very happy about that.
Good job on that, Brian. Good job.
Oh, trying. So, yeah, Brandon Heath today on the show. So if y'all listen to CCM, you definitely know his songs. Give Me Your Eyes, Get Me Through This. He does, which is a more recent single off this current project. And if you don't listen to CCM, there's a whole lot of stuff here for you as well. That just is about the record label process, writing for a record, all that good stuff. So it is what do you say, apolitical in that sense. And genre neutral. It's just a lot of good insights into the business. So
artistic stuff.
Artistic stuff. So it's really, really good interview. So
and some marketing stuff as well.
That's right.
Cool. All right. Well, before we get into that, let's take care of a little business first. We want you to join the C.L.I.M.B community on Facebook. So just search for in groups, just search for the C.L.I.M.B community, or go to facebook.com/groups/the C.L.I.M.B community. That's the easy way to get there. You got to ask to be let in. You got to answer 3 questions. That was brilliant, by the way. Why didn't we think of that before?
Why didn't I say something?
Like so much time on trying to research people to figure out, like, is this legit or not legit? And you know what? The ones that aren't legit don't answer the last question. So
there we go.
Or at least it's been proven that's been proven to be true thus far. We'll say it that way. But anyway, this is a thriving community of singers, songwriters, indie artists, indie musicians. They're all trying to do what you're trying to do. These are your peers, okay? But this is where you're going to get a lot of love and affection, a lot of support, man. So we want to hear about your new music. Post that as a comment under New Music Monday. We want to hear about your gigs. Post your gigs under comment section as a comment, on Gig Alert on Thursday. Mm-hmm. And then on Wednesdays, we talk about your wins, like anything you got going on that's a win. And we celebrate those on the air as well on the podcast. So Brent, what do we got today for Wednesday wins, AKA New Heights?
New Heights. That's right. So climber Adam Traybold says, forgot to post this a couple weeks ago. Hey, doesn't matter, Adam. This is a couple of weeks in the future anyway. Put up my first music in over a decade. Another single coming out this week and a full EP on 10/18. That's October 18th. Very stoked. So, and he has a link to it. So, congrats,
Way to go,
Adam.
Adam. Congratulations. Yeah.
That's right. Let's see. And I love this one. So, this is from Climber Patrick Adams. Says, I'm sure she said it, but I didn't see it and have much time. So, but let's congratulate Sunday Joe Graham on the release of her EP. Love that gal. She's a heck of a writer, performer, and friend. Kudos to her drive and determination. So, I mean, come on, Patrick, tooting someone else's horn. That's the
Love
kind of
that.
love that kind of spirit in the community. Love
And
Patrick. Love Sunday
we're
Joe.
gonna add Brent and I are gonna add one more descriptor onto that listicle, which is family. She's family to us.
Yeah, man. So we love Sunday Joe. We're thankful for her and just love seeing that kind of spirit of lifting other people up in the climb community. So way to go, y'all.
Right.
Love it.
Yes. Yes. Way to go. So man, make sure you follow the podcast. Make sure you tell a friend about it. But let's get into this interview, man. Let's get right to it. This is a really it's cool, man. I just kind of he's got an interesting approach I never thought about in terms of like the tone of a record and how to approach that. But I think you guys are going to learn a lot from this.
All right, let's go. Today's guest is a 5-time Grammy-nominated, 8-time GMA Dove Award recipient, and platinum-selling singer-songwriter. He has recently released his 8th studio record, The Ache, featuring the lead radio single He Does. Previous hits include Give Me Your Eyes, I'm Not Who I Was, See Me Through It, and Your Love, among others. Brandon Heath, welcome to The Climb.
Welcome.
Hey, good to be with you guys.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for
doing
saying
that.
yes, Brandon. I know that we know that you're busy, so it means a lot to us that you did this.
Hey, man, I'm honestly, this is a good time of the day. Always glad to be with some fellow songwriters, guys, dads. Let's go.
Let's go. That's right. So
Let's go.
I think it'd be fun with your new record that came out to dive into a little bit of the process of like, how do you write for a record? How do you kind of gather the songs, gather the collaborators, the co-writers, the producers, all that kind of stuff, and just kind of pick that apart a little bit for our audience, because our audience, singers, songwriters, indie artists, and you're in an interesting position because you've done this before several times, so you're not a rookie at this. And I think it'd be fun to just dive into a little bit of that inside baseball for folks. Sound good?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
So you want me to just dive in?
Well, let's start with kind of your songwriting process, because you're on the road, you're playing shows, you got a family, you got a lot of stuff going on. So how does the songwriting process look for you? Just getting the raw material for a record.
Yeah, it used to be that so I've been on a label. I've been on 2 different labels. The first time I signed a record deal was in 2005. Before that, I was a songwriter. 2003 to 2005, I was just like a songwriter. I was a staff writer with it was a Zamba company called Brentwood Benson.
Yeah.
I was with them, honestly, until it turned into essential music. But Holly Zabka and a guy named Marty Wheeler, they were kind of the guys that were like pitching my songs. I didn't do well, honestly, as a songwriter. I think it was I was just probably meant to be the one to sing my songs. Um, but whenever my label would come to me and say, hey, it's time for a new record, it's like this thing would click on in me, and I would just be like, okay, I'm just going to pay attention, like close attention to everything. Everything seemed to be like this opportunity for a song, So
The antennae would go up.
that's it, man. That's it. So that is still the same way how it happens for me, but the antennae, whatever, are always up now. So I have known, for instance, for the last 2 years, that I've known the title of this new record, and it's called The Ache. So a title is typically how I will start with any like record or a song. It's just always starts with the title for me. Thematically, it always helps me if I'm making a record. If I just know kind of what I'm building towards.
Mm-hmm.
The theme of this record was the ache, but also thinking about the 70s and the 80s when the ache originated for me, and the ache is a physical feeling that I get in my chest when I am missing or needing or saying goodbye to a father figure.
Mm.
So it's kind of like it's a needing for a father.
Yeah.
I feel it for my girls when I'm leaving. I feel it for mentors. Like, I just feel like the men in my life are such a gift. It is this it is this need I think that men in particular need. They just need strong mentor types, whether it be
Yeah.
your dad or so. My mom was passing away last year, and you
Sorry to
know,
hear that.
Yeah.
thank you. I appreciate it. She passed on July 4th, which I think is kind of a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she had been in hospice for a while, so I knew that I was going to be saying goodbye, and I was like, okay, I'm going to write the record, The Ache. So I had a theme, I had a title, and so that's just kind of how it starts for me. Sometimes it's simply like going to a bookstore and seeing titles. The
Mm-hmm.
beautiful thing about a title is that it is not copyrightable.
Right.
So you can borrow a title as much as you want, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Um, and it's always a jumping off point for me. So if that kind of answers that first question, that's where I start is usually a title, and then I'll have a little bit of a melody almost
Mm-hmm.
instantaneously that honestly is hard for me to change sometimes. Like it kind of happens together.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get the melody before you're playing chords? You got to figure out the chords underneath that melody because it comes
Yes.
to you. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm it's so easy for me to get a melody. It's actually harder for me to play. I
Mm-hmm.
took a total of 3 months of lessons when I was in 8th grade,
Yeah.
and I haven't
Three
gotten
whole
any
months,
better.
Brandon.
I haven't gotten any better. I know like 8 chords.
Yeah.
So if that
you only
tells you
need you
how,
only need three.
Yeah. You
that's
got
it.
chords to spare, buddy.
You're
We
overqualified already.
exactly. So yeah, I mean you can have a lot of success and only know 8 chords.
Amen to that. So
Yeah.
how often were you digging in with writing for this record? Like how many songs do you figure you wrote for this kind of album cycle that before you pared down to the 11 that are on the record?
I don't know how, but it always averages around 40 songs per
Mm-hmm.
record. So, you get in a room with an idea, and the song "The Ache" actually was like the fifth iteration of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and and the challenge is not to borrow from the other versions, because then you'd have to give so many people copyright. Um,
Yeah.
but for me,
It looked like a hip hop song.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like a Beyonce song.
Exactly. Yeah.
14 riders on it. The whole block.
Yep.
Yeah.
So for me, man, I just kind of have to take all the ideas. I'm very similar in the fact that I write a bunch of titles down in my notes on my iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's in the middle of the night. I'll get an idea.
Mm-hmm.
I'm constantly writing worship songs, actually.
Yeah.
Uh, I never record them, but I write them all the time, and I think those are just for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a follower of Jesus, and a lot of times I find that worshiping God in a dark or a stressful time is really helpful, and so that's literally why I will write those songs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm always writing, and I schedule out co-writes a ton.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, when I'm writing for a record, I have like 3 or 4 producers that I want to work with.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not, like right now, I'm not. I just put a record out, so I'm open to work with whoever.
Yeah.
Um, but I have my kind of like dudes, my
Mm-hmm.
camp, if you will,
Yeah.
um, that I stick to because, I'm on a time crunch and I really, I'm not as willing to try different things,
Mm-hmm.
when I'm writing for a record.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, I'm curious. So you said like the ache was maybe the fifth iteration of that. So it sounded like so you'd written at that with some different people, different groups of people, or different co-writers. Like, how do you address that? Because people have asked me that before. Because I do a lot of songwriter coaching and stuff, and they've like, hey, I got this idea or this title. It just didn't land with this person. I want to go take it somewhere else. So it sounds like that's a little bit of what you did. How do you handle that so that you value relationships and the integrity of that process and don't just like let someone else scoop it out from one of your co-writers? How do you handle that?
You know what? If a co-writer comes in with the idea,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's not appropriate to go and write it with other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, so I think that's one thing you have to kind of keep in mind. Like, if a co-writer brought in this amazing idea, you need to always give them credit for it.
Yeah.
If it's a concept that you, especially as an artist, bring in and you're
Mm-hmm.
like, hey guys, I want you to help me communicate this title.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then I think it's a little different. At least that's how I feel about it. I'm sure one of my co-writers is going to see this and be like, "Hey, bro, I tried to write the ache with you, and but
Yeah.
but I seriously was very careful. If I would have taken any of their ideas into
Mm-hmm.
the song, then I would have given them credit for the song.
Yeah.
Um, but none of those really ended up in the final thing. I honestly, we were talking about Lee Thomas Miller earlier.
Yeah.
I wrote that with Lee Miller and a new guy in town. His name is Sajin. I can't remember Sajin's last name, but he's an amazing new producer.
Mm-hmm.
But Lee wrote most of my Blue Mountain record with me. So it was Ross Copperman and Lee Miller. And so Lee and I just have an amazing thing,
Mm-hmm.
and he is really good at jumping in with other artists and helping them realize an idea.
Mm-hmm.
He also is a great storyteller, and so we just
Yeah.
decided to do the ache in a storyteller kind of way, where it was
Mm-hmm.
very specific to my story. So in that regard, it was different than the other approaches to the ache.
Very cool. Yeah, but I noticed that. Yeah, Lee Thomas is on a song on your record, and so is Luke Laird, and they're known mainly for their country stuff.
Mhm.
And I'm just curious how you ended up in the room with guys that are who would be considered like country songwriters, which apparently they aren't
Yeah.
just country songwriters, right? How you ended up in the room with them, and what is it maybe some guys from the country world bring to the room that maybe someone who works in mainly CCM
Yeah.
doesn't? Like, what's the value prop that they bring? Obviously, they're great writers, but
They're world class writers.
yeah.
So history is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not very often that I get in the room with a country writer that I don't know from previous or just naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't think that, not to say that country writers only write for the money, but also country writers, you know, they're busy guys and
Mm-hmm.
girls. Um, I've written with Nicole Clausen a few times, Nicole
Mm-hmm.
Gallion.
Yeah.
Um, but I have history with them, and I think hopefully they also see me as a good songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think what I'm trying to get at in CCM, we just don't pay out like on the same
Yeah.
unless you're going to write worship music.
Mm-hmm.
I'm almost embarrassed to admit there's writing worship songs can be pretty lucrative, which
Yeah.
is a controversial topic to talk about.
But it's true.
Um,
CCLI don't lie.
No,
Yeah.
and some people might be watching this and wondering why is worship music so lucrative. CCLI is the reason. It is they are very good at collecting royalties through the different churches and establishments that would play their music in church.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're very good at collecting that. Um, and so when you're a writer of worship music that goes through CCLI, they have a good way of monetizing it.
Yeah.
Christian radio is a format that is usually through a nonprofit radio um, uh, signal or station.
Mm-hmm.
And so they don't pay out on songs the same way that a commercial. So they're non-com,
Mm-hmm.
and country radio is com.
Yep.
And so there's a different rate. So there's more money to be made in other industries. So if you're going
Yeah.
to be in Christian music, especially CCM like I am, you do it for the love of the music and for the love of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to paint myself as, this amazing human being, but it's not what I'm trying to get at. It may not always be like lucratively a business move that you would make as a country writer.
Right. No, I get you.
So
And real quick, not to brag, but I mean, I write a good bit of Southern gospel, so it's obvious I love the music and Jesus way more than you do. Because I get paid even
Because that's
less.
an even smaller
you
payout
don't
than
see a dime.
CCM.
You don't see a dime. I think CCM music, the reason that I do it,
Mm-hmm.
my faith is really important to me.
Yeah.
It just typically just comes out in my songwriting, whether I try to or not.
Yeah.
It's a part of my life. But I know there's people out there that really need our music,
Yeah.
and they're going usually through a really tough time in life. So I try to write, songs that would be the soundtrack for their life and hopefully help them through a hard time. That's the way
Yeah.
that I see it.
So
Um,
I've got a question on that note. Like,
yeah,
we all three of us have friends that have let's just say started out in CCM and then and sometimes found it like artistically to be too constrictive. Not discussing the level of their faith in any way, shape, or form. They were
yeah,
there because they had tremendous faith, but artistically, they wanted to be able to say more things or say it in a different way, or maybe cover subject matter that
yeah.
would be frowned upon in CCM. Do you ever experience that at all? Like, or do those songs become for other artists? Maybe you write them, you scratch that itch, but it's another artist track or something.
I think it's like any other genre. I mean, except for pop. Pop, you can try so many different crazy things,
Mm-hmm.
and you should. I think in the CCM world, I think we should be trying new things. Um, I have never felt restricted. I can only speak from my
Okay.
own personal
Mhm.
experience. Um, I've never felt restricted. I get it. I know that it is a thing, just like country music is a thing, just
Mm-hmm.
like,
Every
you
genre
know,
has guardrails, right? That
yeah.
some people
I
aren't going to
personally
push.
find the guardrails to be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
It causes me to narrow down what my thing is, which makes me less confused and more
Mm-hmm.
productive about what I'm doing.
Yep.
Like, honestly, I love writing Christmas songs because they
Mm-hmm.
are a thing,
Yeah.
Yeah,
the guardrails are clear. I
it's
know
definitive. Yeah.
Yeah.
it is. Now, if you go and listen to my Christmas songs, they often will sound like just a song that you would hear any other time of the year. Because I like doing a song that you would maybe want to hear in April, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Um, Funny enough, I typically write my Christmas songs just me by myself.
Hmm.
And they're great. Like, people tell me they're just as good, if not better than the stuff that I write during the year.
Yeah.
But I find it easier if the topic is more narrow. I have an easier time, and I typically write great songs like that. So I think it's helpful to have the guardrails.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
was it Radney or Tom that said the same thing essentially? Like
Are you
I
talking about
cannot
Radney
remember.
they
Foster?
love the
Yeah, we had him
guardrail.
on the show a little while back, which was awesome.
He's one of
So
my.
thankful.
He is one of my like top 5 heroes.
Yeah,
He's amazing. He put on like a clinic on the
yeah.
episode. So
Yeah,
yeah,
We just dropped
so
a
good.
quarter in on that one, Brandon, and kicked back and had a sandwich and just let him roll because if we either one of us opened our mouths, we would have ruined it. Like
Yeah.
it was like
yeah.
Let
And
it
when you
go.
say Tom, are you talking about Tom Douglas?
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, we had him
another
on
one.
recently
I
too.
can't remember if it was Radney or Tom, but they were just talking about that exact thing. Like, there's a million ways to say something, but it's
Mhm.
that guardrails, that framework that keeps the train on the tracks that makes the job easier. So they kind of it's interesting. Your take on that is exactly the same as
Mhm.
theirs, which is cool.
Yeah.
So the ache when you say that you're going into start an album and you come up with an album title right before you start writing the album. So and obviously with that album title, um, there's a point of view, there's a message, there's something that you're trying to say within that album title. And how does that help you? You say that you'll write 40 songs, and then I guess the album title is I'm not trying to be cheesy with the biblical reference, but that was like your North Star, right?
Mhm.
And so does that help you then choose what songs are appropriate for that project and what songs maybe wait for another project because thematically
Yeah.
uh, they're not orbiting around that same North Star? Is that
There's a song that I wrote with Jonathan Smith and Paul Duncan, like 3 years ago.
Mhm.
It's my favorite song I've written in a decade, and it didn't make the last record or this record.
Oh.
It's just not right. It's just not. It's
you're gonna
not
have to
ready.
start from from the end and work forward on this next one coming up, man.
Yeah.
So
I
you can make
know.
sure that song gets in there.
Well, I already know the next record that I want to make, and we can talk about that in a minute. But
Yeah.
so the song that I wrote with Luke Laird on this record, it's my current single, and it's called Gospel Truth.
Mhm.
I wrote that song in 2020, maybe like April or May, so early in the pandemic.
Yeah.
Luke is one of my neighbors. He lives 5 doors down from me. We see each other all the time. We knew each other in college, so
Wow.
Oh wow.
so that's why I wrote with Luke, because we are old friends.
Yeah.
And I loved that song. It did not fit on the last record, so it was right on this record.
Yeah.
And so I will save songs because if they don't fit with the theme. And so yeah, that answers that question. Um,
And you get that from it's the perspective of the body of work of 40 songs
mhm.
that allows you to kind of be like, okay, these songs are not like these songs. And so these need to be for another project, but these are for this project. And it makes
Yeah. And you ask about the other songs that I don't. Well, you aren't, but I'm wondering if you're thinking about. So what happens to the songs that I don't cut? So I mean, we joke. Have you guys heard of Song Mountain? They go and die on
Uh,
Song Mountain, obviously.
oh.
But
Thrown into the volcano. Yes.
well,
I,
you can also spin that in the press to be like a Prince thing where it's like he's got over 400 songs you haven't heard of in the can. You know what
I
I mean?
Yeah.
probably, I probably should just go ahead and record all of them
Mhm.
and give them to my wife, and when I die, she can release them and make money on the publishing or whatever. I
There
don't
you go.
know. But anyway, um, oh, I was gonna say, like, you can't necessarily pitch them to other artists because the other artists are just gonna feel like it's a second rate,
Right.
song, and that's
Why
not
didn't
always the
Brandon cut it
case.
if it's so good? Yeah.
That's exactly right. That's not the case for me typically. It just doesn't fit with the theme
Yeah.
of the record,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, I mean, I can see it going that way, but then I think about American Kids from Kenny Chesney, and that was pitched to Lady A first. And they're like, no. I mean,
Yeah.
clearly
Was
that's
it really?
a knockdown, drag out, smash hit
Yeah.
song.
I think Luke's on that one as well.
He
Yeah,
is.
Luke
And,
and everything.
and Ross Copperman. Yep.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, so they just thought Lady A was like, that's not our vibe,
Yeah.
And Kenny was like,
Heck yeah, it is.
I'll
take
do
it.
that on there.
Yeah, and I think that's important for songwriters to learn too, that it's not necessarily about the quality of your song. I mean, it could be, but sometimes it's just not the right song at the right time on the right project, and it's not anything really to do with the flaw in the song. It's just timing and stuff we can't control. And that's also why you don't put too much of your career hanging on one song, the hopes of one song. It's like you just got to keep showing up, because it might have not been about the song at all. Really.
In Christian music, often we don't have the budgets for overcutting either.
Mhm.
Like it's not like you can just go cut a song and see if it could become something. That's the other thing, is that sometimes you don't know the potential of a song until you get into the studio with it.
Yeah.
And so I know there's 3 that my label really wanted me to cut for this record. And I mean, I wrote them, but I don't know. I just didn't feel good about it.
Yeah.
Could we have gone to the studio and made it better? Maybe, but y'all aren't giving me the budget to go do that. So
Yeah, you got to make
Yeah.
choices. I know for me, like producing, I'll hear the work tapes of the songs on an artist, and I've got my favorite, right? I've got my rank. And then we cut the bed tracks, and that deck gets shuffled. All of a sudden it's like, oh, well,
The
then we
leaderboard. Yeah.
then we
Yeah.
cut the vocals, and I'm like, well, now it's a different look. And then when the mixes are done, it is again. So yeah, sometimes there's maybe gold in them Nar Hills.
Mhm.
that's right.
Sneak it
That's
into
right.
the next sessions.
Because
sneak
really,
one of those
Yeah.
in, see what
none
happens.
of us know what we're doing. But speaking of the label, so you're on Centricity, and so you mentioned how they spoke into that process. What does that process look like, as far as like how the label speaks into it, and also maybe how it's changed from your first record when you're like, okay, new guy, to now you're what, 8th record in and well established, and you got the street cred.
Student
How
of the
does-
game. Yeah.
Yeah, how does that process change, as far as like how much maybe leverage the label has on what gets recorded versus what you have, and that kind of stuff? I think is interesting.
You know what? It feels like I'm back to where I started again,
Mhm.
in the best way. So my first album I did with Dan Muckala. Dan is an amazing producer, songwriter. We happened to be in a men's group when I was in my early 20s. And so we were just friends. And he felt like, at the time, I wanted to be a country songwriter.
Mhm.
That was my goal for my life. That's what I wanted to do. Dan was like, I can't help you in country music, but I can help you in Christian music.
Yeah.
So Dan was doing a Mercy Me record at the time. He was also doing a Brian Littrell record. Brian was in the Backstreet Boys
Yeah.
because he had just finished a Backstreet Boys album.
Hmm.
So a lot of people don't know, but I played acoustics on that Backstreet record that had Incomplete on it.
Oh yeah.
Because I was just friends with Dan, honestly.
Nice.
So they had a big single on that called Incomplete that I played acoustics on. But then we ended up going into the studio, cutting 5 songs. And he was like, dude, I could get you a record deal. Like tomorrow, I could get you a record deal if you want one. So I had to make a choice,
Yeah.
I was like, I was just out of college. So I was like, let's do it. Let's do
Yeah.
it. So I get my record deal. My first single went number 1. My second single went number 1. And it was like, I just had a lot of success right off the bat.
Mhm.
So it was
That's
really
interesting.
before.
I just gonna say what a choice, because
Yeah, good call.
you didn't have aspirations of being a country artist. You
No.
didn't say that. You said a country songwriter.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
I may be wrong here, but I'm thinking in your head, you're picturing like, I'm going to go to work, I'm going to write songs, I'm going to come home, my wife, my kids, and I'm going to do, that's what my life is going to look like. And then
Yes,
he's like, you
amazing.
should be a star. You should be an artist,
Yeah.
and what a choice, man. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, some people that want to be that are like, that's going to take me less than a half a second to decide. But
yeah.
if that wasn't your initial goal, wow, you really had to have faith in that, didn't you? And be like, okay,
My
maybe
goal,
God wants me over here. And
yeah,
boy, did he give you a megaphone, didn't he?
yeah, he sure did. My goal was to make music for a living. At
Hmm.
at
Yeah.
at some capacity, I love the music industry. I love, honestly, my first love was country music,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
and that's another reason why I really like bringing country writers in on my stuff. The most true to myself record I've ever made was Blue Mountain,
Hmm.
and ironically, that's when my career started going downhill. But
Oh
but
no.
my fans, my true fans, love that record.
Yeah.
And I keep saying someday I'm going to write another Blue Mountain record. That's the one that I wrote with Lee and Ross and uh, Luke
Hmm.
and Barry Dean.
Mm.
I just had my favorite writers, and we just wrote an incredible album.
Yeah.
Um, Also, Jason Ingram was on that
Hmm.
one. Jason and I used to write so many songs together. We wrote "Give Me Your Eyes" together. That was actually his first number one. Was "Give Me
Hmm.
Your Eyes," and
That's a
he
good one.
made a.
Good one to start with.
Yeah, I know. Thank you.
Yeah.
But Jason took a very intentional turn towards writing and producing contemporary Christian or worship music.
Hmm.
I think it was a hard issue, but it was also the way the industry was turning, and I think he was very wise to do that. And obviously, he's written so many of the songs that we sing in church now.
Hmm.
But Jason is still one of my best songwriter friends, and I love that guy.
That's very cool.
Yeah,
When can we touch on like promotion for a second, Brent?
yeah.
I'm just curious, like, so you've got it's all done, it's released, and you guys are on the promotion train now. What for CCM? First of all, is the strategies and the tactics to promote your music different than it would be for a country artist or a
I don't
rock
think
artist?
so. Different in budgets, absolutely.
Right.
Hmm.
I think, I don't know the full ins and outs of country now, but I do know that social media is still is very important. Radio is still very important. I mean,
Hmm.
Mhm.
honestly, that's one of the few things that a label can really still offer for you is radio and marketing.
Hmm.
Um, they're more of kind of a bank now than they ever were because distribution, it's Spotify, it's anybody can be on Spotify or Apple Music now, which is amazing and awful at the same
Right.
time.
It's all the things. Yeah.
It's yeah, it's good and bad. Um, but I think it's very similar in mainstream or country or Christian. Social media is very important. I know for sure that they labels now won't even sign you unless you have some sort of social media presence,
Hmm.
which
Yeah.
is, I don't necessarily agree with that, but it's less risky for them
Hmm.
because you've got an audience,
Yeah.
and it also
They
shows that
they
you've got
become more of an acquisition based business model. They're not
kind of, but I think
plucking the
also
diamonds out of the rough. They're finding as Brent and I say, like a campfire or a bonfire, and they're throwing more gas on it, turning it into a forest fire.
I think charisma has always been important.
Hmm.
You want to sign an artist with charisma who's got great people skills, but now they want to see that you know how to use that charisma and self market yourself. They
Mhm.
want to see that you've got hustle, that you've got a natural ability in front of people, which again, that's always been the case. But yeah, you've got an ability to market yourself. Uh, so a lot of like the true artists these days are kind of going under the radar because they just don't want to spend time with their
Mhm.
phone in their hand, taking selfies, and who can blame them, you know?
Yeah.
I think you're right about that, but it's like even before streaming and all of this kind of crazy stuff in social media, still 95% of the time, the blood, sweat, and tears and the creative energy is spent marketing any project.
Mhm.
And it would, I mean, we've replaced like having to spend time in front of the phone and doing crazy stuff with radio tour and
Mhm.
Mhm.
and the 2 week bi-coastal tour where you're on every late night show and every morning show and you're doing that
Mhm.
whole thing to and the endless hours of magazine 12 hours of magazine interviews where you pretend you
Yeah,
heard the same question over and over again. I mean, in a way, it's like they weren't exempt from that. They're the ones that have to give those interviews and deal with that.
Mhm.
yeah,
And I guess in some ways, if you just look at, to quote Brent, what does this make possible? It's like
Yeah.
now, since you're in charge of the content, you don't have to pretend like you're answering the same freaking question that you've heard 100 times for the first time. You
that's
can do
true.
whatever you want to do and make it entertaining, and you can do it from home.
You're
So
right. You're right.
that's it. What's your digital strategy, if you don't mind me asking? Like, curious. Like,
Yeah.
is there in terms of content, in terms of post production, like editing and stuff, are there things that you guys do to reach farther in the algorithm?
Mhm.
Whatever you feel like is appropriate to share, Brent.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you right now, I have a social media company that I hire out,
Mhm.
that helps me not only distribute but conceptualize the things that I need to talk about. Because if it were up to me, I would be talking about some really boring, obscure stuff that literally would bore people to tears
Mhm.
and lose fans more than gain them.
Right.
Um, obviously, you're right. Tapping into the algorithm, I don't know how to do that. Um, I'm not going to pretend to know or care to do that. But there is a social media team, that I use that's what they do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so, I hire them out when we have an album coming out, or if I need to um, promote a tour. I wouldn't have them on all year long
Mhm.
because it's expensive to do that.
Mhm.
But I find people that I partner with that understand me and appreciate me. So we're not creating things that don't exist, or that aren't really authentically me, because
All right.
authenticity is very important to me.
Mhm.
So and I've worked with people before that just was not part of it. I
Yeah.
found a company that really cares about authenticity and they know how to communicate that. So so we put together a couple of days of capturing lots of social media. I use friends that I know are very good with like a camera and lighting and sound, and we'll just pour in a couple of days a month to capture, and then we have a plan to release. Um, like on this new record, it's more of a high concept, the ache, because it was set really in the 70s and 80s. So I
Mhm.
wanted it to look 70s and 80s.
Mm,
And so they kind of helped me do that, you know?
right on.
Yeah.
Like, uh, I love it when they can pull that off. I think of Stranger Things, the
Yeah.
way that even the candy wrappers were from the 80s. And you're like, oh, I remember when it looked like that. It's
It's
crazy.
those little details,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, you're right. In
Yeah.
my photo shoot, if you look on the back of my record, there's a picture of me. I'm sitting in this old hotel room, and the concept is about my dad who used to work at a Howard Johnson's.
Hmm.
And when I was a kid, when I was missing him, I could see that Howard Johnson sign for where he worked in the distance,
Mm,
and I would just look at that sign, and I felt what I was telling you, the ache.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
my
That
marketing
meant
team
your
was like,
dad. That may reminded you of your dad.
"That's it." So my dad's been passed away for 7 years,
Hmm.
and my social media and marketing team was like, "We got to do the photo shoot in an old hotel." You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yes, you're right." So on the bed is an ashtray. My dad was like a heavy smoker.
Yeah.
Um, but to me, like some people would be like, "Oh, let's not talk about cigarettes. Let's not have any of that paraphernalia in the back." I'm like, "No, it's got to be back there because that's my dad." You know, that's really important to me, and I think it's those little details and the extra mile that you go that people really appreciate.
Yeah, man, I remember. Yeah, first time I heard the ache, and you mentioned him going out and smoking a cigarette or something. I was like, oh, like it perked my ears up a little bit. I'm like, this is a little different for CCM. Like this is more of a country thing, or just a storytelling. Like it felt real and it felt
Yeah,
authentic because I'm like, that's not
yeah.
normally what you'd hear in a CCM kind of thing, which I really
Oh, and
appreciate. It
my
definitely
A and
perked my
R.
ears up.
My A&R was like, "Do we have to talk about smoking?" I'm like, "Yeah, we do."
Good
Well, there you
on
go.
you.
So you're in a position to maybe push those guardrails a little bit to where you want to, where
Yeah,
maybe somebody else, if they're a new artist, a debut artist, is going to have their hat in their hand and be like, well, we don't have to if we don't want to, but you're
Yeah.
like, no, this is what happened. So, hey, quick question with regard, I was going to ask this before, and then you just kind of brought it back around again. So I'm sorry about your dad, losing your dad
Mhm.
too, after
thank
7
you.
years. I lost my mom in 2019, so I'm there with you on
Mm.
one parent.
Yeah.
Still blessed to have the other one.
Hmm.
What, before your dad passed away, was there an ache? Were you missing him? Did he travel a lot for work? Like, what do you want to
Yeah.
share that story? That kind of I feel like it's deeper
Oh yeah.
uh,
The
than just
ache, the ache
him
was.
being passing away. Like, there's more to the story.
Yeah, the ache was born out of when he left my mom and I when I was 3.
Okay.
So my mom was a hairdresser, and she basically raised us on a hairdresser's wage, and she had to take me to a babysitter's every day. So in the backyard of that babysitter's house, I could see the sign where my dad worked.
Mm,
And so I was missing him, and he was not in my life for like a good year and a half. I'd
mhm.
see him maybe once a month for like a few hours. He'd come pick me
Yeah.
up, but he had a whole other life, which is why the marriage didn't work out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my dad had to go deconstruct the other life and also nurture another part of the other life. So he finally would come back into my life, and I was too young to get all that. And so I remembered that feeling. And so we did have a better relationship as I got older. I forgave him, and but that sticks with you when you have that kind of wound as a kid. What I ended up developing was this, like, I'm not good enough wound,
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
where if your dad leaves, you just think, well, I'm not good enough to stay for.
Yeah.
And I've
Mm.
had to do a lot of professional work around that, with a therapist, and my own journey of mental health. And so songwriting for me is helpful for me, you know?
I'll bet. Yeah.
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 Cathartic.
Yep. It absolutely is.
So, how is your dad connected to Howard Johnson's? Okay.
So dad was a night guard there. He did the like overnight shift,
Yeah.
Got it.
and he would go into the academy, the
Mm,
police academy, and he ended up becoming a state trooper in Nashville, and that's where he ended up retiring as a state trooper.
Okay. Right on.
Hmm.
So
yeah.
are there any more Howard Johnsons left?
I don't think so.
Because I remember Howard Johnson when we
Yeah.
used to go on trips when I was a kid. It would be like the ice cream.
Yeah.
Wait,
My
you got
sister
to
and I.
stay in a hotel when you went on trips? We never traveled further than we could get to family within a day. Well,
Well,
I
I
went to
mean,
see Parts of the World because my cousins
sometimes it
moved
had
every
to
once in a
happen.
while, so we could go like, oh, we can go outside Chicago now. Oh, they're in Maryland. We'll take a long drive from Arkansas.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fancy pants.
sometimes we do. I tell you that, like, I grew up in Wisconsin, southeastern Wisconsin, Brandon, and my grandmother, my mom's mom, lived on the Central Jersey Shore, and we go visit there every 2 years, and that was always like all the way through, like no
Yeah.
matter what, like get the pineapples to Hawaii, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. Not even stopping to
So
pee, I'm sure.
yeah, exactly. He
Yeah.
was wrong,
No time.
but anyway, well, that's wow.
Yeah.
What a like what are some of the other um song titles and stories behind those song
Yeah.
titles that maybe you want to share that are on the ache that all kind of birthed from this thing? Like you had a very,
Yeah.
very singular vision there, which is awesome.
Yeah. Well, I
Thank
am
you.
curious about one, maybe to get the ball rolling, but the song Highly Favored, which you co wrote with Blessing Offer. And, he's a successful artist in his own
I love
right.
Blessing.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Because you know Blessing a little bit. So,
He's a
yeah.
hoot.
And so I'm curious, like, how you navigate writing with somebody else that has a record deal and did you go into that going, all right, we're going to rock, paper, scissors, and that's who we're writing for today? Or, hey, we're just going to write and see kind of where it lands? Or how did you approach that writing with another
Yeah.
artist?
I do like writing for other artists, but typically when I'm not working on my own record. And I think when we decided to do that, I wrote with Blessing on his last record. So we're just friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I've written for him, and we were at dinner one night and he just said, or I was like, how you doing, bro? And he's like, blessed and highly favored,
Yeah.
and I was like, I like that title, highly favored. Let's write that song together.
Yeah.
So I think like a month later, I had to write with Kyle Williams, and I said, I'm going to bring in Blessing because I want him to write that song with me. So there
Mm-hmm.
you go. He gave
Yeah.
me the
With the
idea.
title, yep.
I want to
Just
make
with
sure,
yep.
but I love Blessing. So the hope was that he would be the guest on it, but
Mm-hmm.
he was guesting on so many songs at the time and was about to cut something with Dolly Parton.
Mm-hmm.
So his label was like, sorry, he can't. So we were so blessed to get Ryan Ellis to sing on it because I'm a big fan of Ryan. But we wrote it. We wrote it together with Blessing, and it was just fun. It's just a fun song.
Yeah. It's a good one, too.
Thank
That's
you.
a great story behind that title too. I love that. That's
Well,
a
Yep.
back to having your
Blessed and highly
antenna,
favored.
sounds just like
up, and just listening.
yeah.
That's it. That's what I'm talking about, man.
Yeah. Which is funny when one writer catches another writer saying something, and part of them is probably like, dang, I didn't even catch that and I said it.
Yeah.
No,
So,
just a highly sensitive gauge.
yeah.
Hey, y'all. I'm sorry to cut us off. I have another interview that is supposed to start at noon.
Well,
If
no, not a problem. Where can people find you and your music?
You could find me at on most social media platforms at Brandon Heath. The at Brandon Heath thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to my website, brandonheath@me.com. Actually, that's my email that I just
Yeah.
gave you.
We can edit that.
We'll edit that out, Brandon. Don't worry.
So yeah, so feel free to edit me or email me.
I was like, that's not his website.
Okay, let me start over. You can find me on social media at Brandon Heath. My email or my website is brandonheathmusic.com. And yeah, I'm probably the most active on Instagram.
Okay.
I One funny thing about me is that I like to play backyards in May and June in the good
Mm-hmm.
backyard months. So people can go on there and invite me to come and play their backyard, and I always pick a few to go play in the spring. So
Oh, that's awesome.
That's genius.
it's
I
one of my
love
favorite
that.
things I do all year. I just love it.
Like, send me a picture of the backyard.
Yeah.
Let me know. Tell me, how weird is your family?
Yeah.
And no.
You got a cousin Ed? Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
is
great.
Cousin Eddie going to be there? And does he cook barbecue? Then the answer is yes.
Well, there we
Love
go.
it.
Well, that brings us to the end of another Killer Climb episode, y'all. And Brandon, Heath, thank you so much for taking the time and really kind of opening up your whole thought process on your writing, how you put an album together, and also the marketing stuff you share with us too is great. This podcast exists because we want you to win, so keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.
Who ride a Greyhound